Sports Recap is what you're listening in. My name is Michael and we are back in yet another episode. It's been a while having such an episode on sports. And we are back speaking of a few transfer news, Uganda Cranes that has just played. And I'm lucky to be joined by Josiah, a seasonal sports commentator and analyst. He's a supporter of Arsenal. Other guests on this episode are not willing to speak the teams they support. For example, our daily guest, Ronald, he won't be able to tell us the team he supports. So although a few people know about which teams he subscribes to, then the only proud Chelsea supporter on this podcast will be joining us, speaking a few about Chelsea as we go into the episode. Hi, Josiah.
I'm okay. Thank you for having me, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor for me to be on this show.
Josiah will be discussing about his Arsenal. Last season, we were talking before it ended. He was sure they are winning the trophy. Unlike how it ended, he will be telling us why. And Ronald, what's your take?
Well, it's good to be back to the podcast once more. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while indeed. And Timothy, your predictions in the World Cup actually did come to reality. The two teams you supported actually were in the final. Welcome back to this episode.
It's always good to be here. Good to look at events that are making headlines around sports.
Yeah.
It's going to be a sad thing talking about Chelsea, but yeah, we'll have to get to the podcast.
Oh yeah, Josiah, Arsenal. Before we go to Arsenal, Uganda Cranes. It had chances if it got maybe a draw against Algeria, but it lost it by a 2-1 loss in Cameroon. We were hosts, but we are hosting in Cameroon. What's your take on the Uganda Cranes? Is there a future, or we are in Kibalo things?
I think Uganda Cranes, I cannot say Uganda Cranes doesn't have future. But what I can say is Uganda Cranes needs to find a generation of talent. Let me say a group, let me give an example. In Africa here,
yep.
You can see how Senegal is. It's a very big leap.
It's a system, yeah.
It's a system. We need to have a generation of players, even if they play in this Ugandan league,
right.
But they understand each other. They correlate their football. They have this football chemistry. At the moment, you still have Manuel Ocweo and Farouk Mia being called up for Uganda Cranes.
To play with Rogers Mato, who has been in the under-23.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, sure.
Look at that. Look at that.
There's no correlation. Yeah.
There's no correlation at all. Emmanuel Ocweo by now should be in position to hang up his boots for the sake of this Ugandan team.
Yeah.
Another person, Farouk Mia. We don't really know much about Farouk. Basically, honestly, if you Google maybe Uganda's prominent players, obviously you will see him there. Yeah, but that doesn't warrant his starting in a Uganda Cranes game up to now. Yeah. We need to accept, and the coaches and the staff of Uganda Cranes need to accept that it is time for a revolution.
Yeah, sure.
You look at the people who are contributing a lot in these games. People like the goal scorer.
Yeah.
Bayo on the weekend. These are players we should look up to from now on. We should change the shift, We're not here to please people who know only Farouk Mia outside this country.
Yeah, sure.
We know our own local talents, and we need to embrace that. You know what? These
we can
people,
make this,
we can make this work. A country, I can give an example. In the recent AFCON, Gambia, that Gambian team was the youngest.
Yeah.
Was the youngest, and they reached their first, it was almost like their first Africa Cup of Nations, and they went to the quarterfinals. They went on scouting their own players across Europe and even within the Gambian League. And they collected and collaborated a system that works for all those players. There are many Ugandans who are out there. And the Ugandans within this country who play football on a regular basis.
Regular starters on
yes, but we need to look up to them. That is how we shall market these players.
Yeah, sure. Then let me shift that to Ronald. Ronald, what's your take? The system in Uganda Cranes, we've seen the team try to shift from the regulars to the young talents. Because if you see the squad that was in Cameroon, we were hosting in Cameroon, they were full of players that have been on the under 23 and a few names that have been regular starters.
Well, my general complaint with the Uganda Cranes is that we often call players that are not getting playing time and they're not regular in their teams. And this has a problem because you bring a player who has not been playing and you expect him to play teams like Algeria, who are very organized. If you look at the squad of Algeria, almost every player is a starter in their team.
True.
Even those ones that play in Algeria. Yeah. So there's a problem of playing players that are not getting playing time and not consistent with their performance. If you look at Senegal, for example, Senegal has a bunch of players. For example, in their recent game against Brazil, where they won.
They won 4-2.
If you look at the defense, they have a player called Diallo. Abdou Diallo plays for Leipzig. But
previously at PSG.
Previously, yeah. But now this time around, he wasn't used in central defense. They used Moussa Niakate. He has been playing well for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we need to start borrowing things from our African countries like Senegal.
They didn't consider Diarra, who is in a big team, but they chose someone who has been playing.
Yeah, like for Uganda, coming back to Uganda, you look at players like Gavin Kizito, some another defenders. If you look at their statistics, these guys are not getting playing time in their clubs.
Yeah, sure.
They're having like 2-3 appearances in the entire season. And you're called for the national team on merit because you're playing outside. No, I think we need to start considering players that are getting playing time local here. We have a lot of players. For example, Ashraf Mandela could have played a very good role on the right. On the right back. And then we have guys like Pens Begisa at URA. Yeah. He as well could have played a good role on the right back because he has been getting the playing time in the league. So Uganda, for Uganda to build on from now, I think we need to start using players that are getting playing time, and we see how they're going to correlate with the game. Because you cannot bring maybe Ocweo, who has been having, let's say, few games in Iraq, and then Farouk Mia, who has been a bench warmer at Rizal Sport, and you bring them together to start against Algeria, who has players who have been starting all season. I think it's not very pleasing to both the players and the national team because it's like you're bombarding them with competition, roles, with roles. If you watch that game against Algeria, sometimes I wonder if Arabs they have some other different types of blood systems or something. These guys were running all over us on the pitch, like. Every time they make an effort to try to get the ball from a Ugandan player, they have to get it. Like, these boys were so active on pitch. And look at our players. People were just sloppy, careless with the passing. Like, it's like we're scared of the Algeria. Yet they even use the second 11. So, sometimes I think we need to start getting people that are active, people that have been running all season in their clubs. Because if you get a player that has been on bench and you expect them to manage those runs against Algeria, they won't manage.
That can't be possible.
Yeah, so I think if you look at our defense, we used Semakula and Gift Fred.
Yeah,
I would say that these players are very much inexperienced as per now.
Yeah, sure.
And to bombard them with a game like Algeria wasn't the best idea. I don't know what happened to Timothy Awan this time. He wasn't called. But he has been a top defender. He has been playing professional football for over 3 years now in Israel with Ashdod. So I don't know why he wasn't called this time. And then you have Musa Ramadan, who was dropped out of the squad. He has been playing well in Czech Republic as well. Yeah. And then you bombard a Kenneth Semakula with Algeria. You get, and then at least Kenneth Semakula has been playing with the under-20s and he has an experience in playing. But Gift Fred, you bombard him with Algeria, where players have been playing in Europe. People like Amura, the guy who scored plays for Lugano in Switzerland. That has been running all season. You expect Gift Fred to manage his level right now. So I think there's some bit of unpleasing state done by the coach. You cannot play players. Okay, we have levels in this game. So I think we need to match levels sometimes. When you have Timothy Awan, put Timothy Awan. You have Richard Kasaga. He has been playing well in Tunisia with a club in Tunisia. So I think let's get players that are playing on top level and let them match the levels of these other opponents. Because, to be honest, football is a game of experience, levels, and skills of different heights. And you don't expect players of all those different heights and levels.
Before we leave that, should Uganda Cranes kill the this qualifier and rebuild or continue with the Kibalo, like waiting for how other teams will perform to continue with the game, or they just leave Tanzania to go?
Well, actually, right now as we speak, in 2019, I thought we are on we're on our peak.
Yeah.
We're now coming on our peak, but it's like we have gone back to recess. If you remember in 2012, we have gone back to those dependent variables of 2012, where we would need to depend on away win somewhere, and we need to have scored some goals. You get now we are back in that recess again. We are back in that recess. Why? Because now we have -3.
Yeah,
we've conceded. We have -3 in terms of
goals.
The goals, and then Tanzania has -1. So for us to go through, we need to beat Niger more goals, and we are playing away in Niger.
A bigger goal.
Yeah, we need to, and I don't think we are going to count on Algeria to beat Tanzania, because they've already qualified and they may. Okay, Arabs are generally serious people. They don't take anything lightly. So I would expect them to thump Tanzania. I mean, seriously. But given that they've already qualified,
they might relax.
Yeah, they might actually play a whole home-based team against Tanzania. They might leave out because it's going to be around October, September.
Yeah.
So when the leagues have started, so they may not stress that their top players. They may call the local-based players, but as well they're a good team anyway.
Good team, yeah.
So I think Uganda should go to Niger with a margin of 3 goals and above.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our chances are
so low.
Yeah.
Then to you, Timothy, what is that point that you think Uganda Cranes should work on if they are to qualify? Yeah.
Uganda Cranes is a team that is spoiled everywhere. Right from the Ministry of Sports to the last player in the bench. I think everything just needs to be undone and redone. For example, why would you call back someone like Ocweo to come and play when you have a Martin Kiza, you have an Ibrahim Orit, you have a Mato somewhere? I seriously don't think people like Ocweo and Farouk Mia should have been on that team. I'm looking at how rusty their football has become.
Yeah, sure.
One thing that if you watch football long enough, you know that when a player, however good they are, spends time on the bench, they rust a bit and they just can't manage to give you fine form. People like Ocweo have spent more time in the plane than on the pitch. So you don't expect them to just fall down and deliver something for you. Yeah, sure. And to make matters worse, you're giving him to captain that team. Yeah. I seriously think the armband should have remained with Milton Karisa.
Yeah.
So that was a mistake in itself. So there's a lot that needs to be undone and redone in that team. I seriously think for a team like Algeria, Uganda does well with the young players and the pragmatic football that they do, because these are young players who
have been playing together.
Exactly. They understand each other. People like Farouk Mia and Ocweo cannot fall back into such a team. They kind of cut it down. One of the teams that plays pragmatic football so well is Crystal Palace in the Premier League. And part of their struggles have been because of the old guys like Ayu and Benteke. When you want to break, these guys struggle running. But Zaha has done it well.
Yeah.
So what you simply do, you do not need an excellent player to get that job done. You just need a fast player. And Uganda has a bulk of such players. Yeah. So you play a team according to your strength, not according to their strength. There's no way we can go against Algeria, attack them and take over position. We can't. So let's just do the pragmatic football, counter-attack. Defend, break on the wings, and run. Somehow you can get the goals because they did that.
And Milton Kalisa can do that well.
Very well. They were the only team that beat in the Chan games. They're the only team that beat the winners of the tournament, and it was that mode of football that helped them out. So I think that's what they should have done. So you play a team according to your strength. For a team like Tanzania, you can actually go and attack and win that game. So play against Tanzania like that. Where you can't manage against an Algeria, do something like that. So they should find out what works best for them. And Uganda Cranes is always, I don't know, the coach. It seems there's some kind of influence that comes from the board, the administration influencing his decisions.
True.
But I think you can look at the team and it's dead on arrival. You look at the team that's losing right from the time they're in the dugout, because I didn't see Uganda Cranes being looking for a win with people like Farouk Mia and Ocweo in that lineup.
Yeah, that's it for Uganda Cranes. We shall not go back. But before we can leave the Uganda Cranes aside, I read some tweet where some Ugandan concerned citizen was like,